Greg, thanks for taking the time to chat with us.
Mhm.
So to start off with, why don't you just tell us a bit about your project?
So we're working on something called group income. Group income is a tool. It's basically a system that random groups can use if they want to provide themselves with a basic income. The idea behind it is that a lot of people seem to want a basic income, and the mentality seems to be that, well, we need to have a political battle in order to have it. And in many ways, I support an entire country having its own basic income program. But I don't think we have time to wait for that kind of thing to play out. We kind of need, as Scott Santon says, we needed basic income yesterday. So group income is a way that any group of people, any group of friends or family can get together and simply use what is effectively a decentralized accounting tool to manage their money and provide themselves with a basic income, or less than a basic income, or more than a basic income. We call it a mincome, the minimum income.
So yeah, tell us a little bit more about how that would work. Let's say the three of us want to, ensure that we each have $1,000 a month. Or if that's a bad example, you can give me a new one.
No, that's a great example.
Okay, yeah. So how would we plug into group income to make that happen?
So one of you would sign up and create a group. And when you create the group, you're presented with a screen where you effectively lay out the constitution of the group, the rules that the group agrees to follow. So some of the questions that we ask you are, well, first of all, the most obvious one, what's the minimum income that your group is trying to guarantee every member? That's probably the most important one. But there are other important questions like, how many votes does it take to approve a new member to the group? What percentage of the group has to agree to add someone to the group? Or what percentage of the group has to agree to remove someone from the group? And the entire idea of group income is based around this concept of voluntary relationships between people. So there's nothing forcing you to stay in a group. Although some groups we expect might want to add something like that. So they might, for example, choose as part of their constitution to actually add a legally binding contract as part of the membership process. But that kind of decision making is totally up to the groups and not up to us. So another very, very important kind of both philosophical and concrete systems design approach that we're taking to the project is to make the system completely decentralized. So we're not designing this to be, another startup that has, a company that's collecting fees from the network and is managing the entire system in a centralized way, where they would have like a view into all of the transactions and activities that are happening within the system. We've chosen to take a completely decentralized approach where we do not have even the ability to look into what's going on within these groups. Privacy is very important, we think, generally online, and we want to make sure that we're respecting people's data and that we ensure that their data is theirs, and that we don't think that we're entitled to other people's data, in other words. So once you create the group, you can now invite people to join your group, and they can look at what you're doing and they can choose to join. And the second that somebody joins your group, they basically now are you have sort of less power. Let's put it that way. You are no longer the dictator of the group. You were a dictator at the outset when you set the rules. If they agree to play by your rules, they now have a real voice. You can't just change the constitution on them, in other words. So then once you have an initial group going, you can decide to contribute to the group some amount of money. And you can say, for example, well, this month I made $2,000 and our mincome is $1,000. Well, in that case, you have $1,000 left over. So first, the idea is that kind of like on an airplane, when you have to, say they always instruct you that, in the middle, in the event of an emergency, put on your mask first before putting on someone else's mask. Well, it's the same sort of idea. You take care of your income first. So any money that you receive from some work that you're doing first goes to you to take care of your income. And once you're taken care of, you then are in a position where you can help other people if they need help. So in this case, you made $2,000. The group's income is $1,000. And you have now $1,000 that you can contribute to the group. And the kind of basic accounting algorithm simply does its best to raise people who are sort of at the very bottom in terms of their income, and raise them starting from the bottom and then together, to the next lowest person, et cetera, and then kind of raise them all up together to that same income level line. And it does this by taking contributions that it receives from the other members. And members can choose to add additional information to any contributions that they give. For example, they can say, well, this year I'm contributing $600 and my income this month was, some amount. Or they can just make a contribution and not specify what their actual income was. So that's totally up to them.